This is an example on vectors and matrices. This comes from the 2021 CSEC mathematics paper. Remember now, this is the last question on the paper. This is among the hardest. So you must practice. Practice makes you strong. Strong enough for the challenge of your upcoming exam. Let's start. The diagram below shows triangle OAB. That's OAB. And here, OA is equal to R. From O to A is labeled R, as you can see here. Here, OB from O to B is labeled S. That is S. In addition, E is the midpoint of CD. You have to remember that. Keep that in mind. OC is 3/4 of OA. 3/4 of OA. And AD is 2/3 of AB. Two-thirds of the entire distance. Write in terms of R and S in the simplest form an expression for CD. Let us go over to this screen. Here, we want CD. What is CD? Now CD is this line, that vector there. Here, you must remember your triangle of vectors. From C to D goes this way. Let us draw a triangle over here. Remember now, to find this triangle, you must add, to find this vector, you must add this vector and this vector. This vector will be the resultant. If you imagine this to be C and this to be D and this A, I don't want to crowd this diagram too much, so I take this apart and put it over here. You see that? Make sure you follow. Now, going from C to D, you can walk or run from C to D. But if you go from C to A, then A to D, you end up the same place. You see that? Let's look at it over here now. Going from C to D, you end up the same place as if you go from C to A, turn the corner, then go down to D. So therefore, what you can say is this. This the resultant. This resultant vector CD is equal to, going from C to A, plus going from A to D. You see that? You can walk from C directly to D along this straight road, this vector. It will be a longer route, but you end up the same place as when you go from C to A. Turn the corner, then go from A to D. Now, question. What is CA? Remember what the question says. Here, OC, from O to C, from here to here, is 3/4 from O to A. Now, if this is 3/4 of the way from here to here, what is the rest of the way, the remaining journey? It must be 1/4. You see that? Now, I want you to pause the video using the same argument to label the fraction of the way going from A to D. That will be easier because it's right there. You see, this is 2/3 of the way. You see that? Now, here we see that from C to A is 1/4 of something. Is 1/4 of a journey. You see it here. Then from A to D is 2/3 of another journey. Now remember, the question asks you to write in terms of R and S. That means you must have CD equals, then you have R, S, and numbers. No other letters should be there. No C, no A, no D. So, what do we do here? Look at this. From O all the way to A is referred to as R. OA equals R. You see that? So therefore, from O to C is 3/4 of R, and from C to A is 1/4 of R. So CA equals 1/4 R. Now, next part, plus AD. Now, we want AD in terms of R and S. But we know that AD is 3/4 of AB. You can see it here. From A to D is 3/4 the way from A to B. So we can rewrite AD is 2/3 the way. AD is 2/3 the way from A to B. So we can write AD is 2 thirds AB. But remember, you must write in terms of R and S. So, you look at AB. Look again at AB. If you go from A to B, it's the same place you will end up if you go from A to O. Bend this corner, then go from A to B. You see that? Do you see that? Concentrate. Now, you must turn AB into R's and S. So AB equals, now look, A to B, you end up the same place as going from A to O, then O to B. When you go from A to O, how do you write that in terms of R? Remember, O to A is R. You see it. It's in the question. Going from O to A is R. So what is going from A to O? It's going to be negative R. That will be negative R. Plus, you turn the corner and go from O to B. So you go S. So you have negative R plus S. Do you see that? So, we can rewrite AB as negative R plus S. Make sure you follow. So, CD, the vector CD, this vector CD equals CA, which is a quarter of R. So you have a quarter R plus 2/3 of AB. But AB is negative R plus S. So you rewrite AB as negative R plus S. You see that? Then, here, you have CD equals, you open the bracket, a quarter R plus 2/3 times negative R plus 2/3 S. Coming to the end of this part of the question. CD equals a quarter R minus 2/3 R plus 2/3 S. We will rewrite it. So what do you get here? You have a quarter R minus 2/3 R. What is a quarter minus 2/3? We work out our fraction. A quarter minus 2/3. If you use common denominators, multiply 4 by 3, multiply 1 by 3, minus, multiply 3 by 4, multiply 2 by 4. So, 133 over 4 3s 12 minus 2 4s 8 over 3 4s 12. So, 3 minus 8 is negative 5. So, you have negative 5 12th. This is negative 5 12 R plus 2/3 S. Now, we can rewrite this as CD equals 2/3 S minus 5/12 R. Do you see that? Here, that is one part of the question. Remember, we're not rushing as when in exam, taking time. But when you're in exam, you must work within the time limits, and you must work hard to ensure you pass, and you must practice from now. OE, what is OE? Now that we know AB, we want OE. Erase some of what we have here. Now it's time to find OE. Going from O to E. Now, when we go from O to E, we're going to add two vectors to give you OE. Here, the vectors that we will add, we must determine what it is. If you walk from O to E, you end up the same place as when you walk from O to C. Turn the corner here, then go from C to D. And remember, here, E is the midpoint of CD. So E is halfway. So you can see from up here, OE, the vector OE. That is, if you run from here to here, from O to E, it is equal to OC. So it's OC, that is OC, plus going from C to E, or CE. Do you see that? Now, OC is 3/4 of OA, but OA is R. So OC is 3/4 R. I'm doing the work up here because this is where we can see the diagram, and I did not copy the diagram. Here, you're going to add CE. But what is CE? CE is half of CD. You see that? Now what was CD again? CD is 2/3 S minus 5/12 R. So that's 2/3 S minus 5/12 R. So OE, going from O to E, is equivalent to going from O to C, then turning the corner and going from C to E, because you end up the same place. So OE is OC plus CD. So it's 3/4 R plus, let me rewrite this. OE is equal to OC, which is 3/4 R, plus CE, CE is half of 2/3 S minus 512 R. Concentrate on it. Here, you will simplify. The question says in the simplest form. So here, OE is equal to 3/4 R plus, we will open the bracket now and multiply each term in the bracket by half. This is 1/3 S minus 5/24 R. You have to remember your fractions, multiplication of fractions. Now, OE equals 3/4 R minus 5/24 R plus 1/3 S. You must simplify this part. Add those two fractions now. What do you get? 3/4 minus 5/24. If you use common denominators, multiply 4 by 6 to get 24. You must multiply 3 by 6 as well. So we have 18/24 minus 5/24. So, what you will get now is 18 minus 5. That's 13/24. So we have 13/24. You see that? So OE, remember this was done before, don't mix it up. OE is 13/24 R plus 1/3 S. So there you have it. That's for that part of the question. We have CD and OE. As I said before, we're not in an exam now. I'm taking time to go through it slowly. But you must know it in order to work faster in the exam and understand what it is that you're doing. Next time, we will look at part D of that question. It's vectors. Remember, this is an example of vectors taken from the June 2021 CSEC Mathematics paper, question 10. We will look at this in our next video.